Welcome to Cory's Stories. Are you ready to meditate with Cory? Are you ready to meditate with Cory? Please lie down in your bed and get super comfortable. Make sure that everything is just right in your room so that you can relax your body and let go of your busy day. Vaya had been asleep for quite some time. She'd been busy doing all sorts of things with her sisters this last week, and she'd found that even when she'd slept a whole night, she was still tired the next morning. On this particular evening, Vaya had already been to sleep about 3 hours when she started to have the most wonderful, magical, romantic dream. Vaya was dreaming that she was on a ship. It was a very big ship, one of those kind of ships that travel from continent to continent, maybe a trade ship that was full and stocked to the brim with different goods from all around the world, silks, spices, herbs, different products for your skin, different clothes for your body, a trade ship. She was on one of those and she was traveling across the world. She was heading all the way to Japan in her dream. On the ship, for the past few nights, she'd noticed a cat, a gentleman cat, that was very suave looking. He was a white cat with black paws and what looked like a black mustache across his top lip. It made him look very suave and sophisticated. Even though it was just his fur, she was thinking that it looked like a mustache. And she'd never dated a cat with a mustache before. What she liked about him was that he always was reading at the dinner table in the restaurant hall, the room where the evening meals were served on the ship. He always ate alone and read his books. And then when he'd finished eating, he would always barely look around at anyone else, gather his books up and leave for the evening. And she wouldn't see him again all day the next day until evening time again, when it was time for dinner on the ship. Each night, Vaya had dressed in the most exquisite ballroom gowns, some of the beautifulest gowns that she'd ever seen she was wearing in this dream. They fit her perfectly, and she always felt like a queen. A dress that she was wearing on this particular night when she was staring across the restaurant hall at this cat, the handsome cat with the mustache, was silver, and it had long strands of silver gems all over it, and when she walked, the strands shuffled and swang from side to side. It was like her whole dress was dancing every time she moved. Everyone on the ship noticed Vaya. They couldn't not notice her. She was so glamorous, eloquent, beautiful, and delicate. Everything about her was very magnetic. She seemed to just flow through the halls of the ship, and people would stop and maybe speak amongst themselves about her, or some would say, "Good evening." And Vaya would just bow her head slightly. "Good evening," she would say. She was the picture of royalty, as if she was definitely some princess or queen or goddess from some other place. And everyone looked at her except the cat with the mustache. The cat with the mustache never even glanced her way. But tonight she was going to get his attention. Vaya had paid extra attention to bathing, applying all of her perfumes, her oils. She put the slightest little bit of powder rouge on her cheeks, which made her eyes look even bluer. She put a tiny little bit of lip gloss on, and she was ready. Tonight, she'd decided that she was going to speak to the cat with the mustache, even if he didn't pay attention to her. She was intrigued, after all. What was he reading? Why did she never see him in the day? She was sat across from him on an opposite table not too far away, watching him read. She'd had a prawn cocktail for the starter of her meal, and it was very delicious. At one point, she dropped one of the prawns, and it landed on her legs, on her pretty dress. "Oh!" she thought to herself, as she quickly grabbed it with the napkin, hoping that the cat with the mustache had not seen her. He hadn't, of course. He'd not looked up from his book. "What is that book?" she thought to herself. "What is so interesting that he doesn't notice me?" Vaya reached into her purse and pulled out a book. It was a very special book. It was a book that she'd had for a long time. It was a book about a cat called Randolph that saved the world. Now bear in mind that this is all Vaya's dream, right? So this is what she was dreaming. On the front of the book, there was a cat that looked just like the cat with the mustache. And Vaya saw this as her opportunity to meet the cat with the mustache. She stood up from her table and slid the chair behind her further away and started to walk across towards the cat with the mustache. The cat with the mustache was so enthralled in his book that he didn't even notice that Vaya was stood at his table. A few moments passed until he eventually looked up. When he did, Vaya met his eyes and smiled. "Hello," she said. "My name is Vaya, and I was just... Well, I wanted to introduce myself because I've noticed that you like books, and I have this very special book, and since we're going to be on this ship for another week, maybe you would enjoy this book. And, coincidentally, the cat on the book looks just like you." Vaya put the book down on the table in front of the cat with the mustache. The cat with the mustache peered down over his glasses and stared at the book. The cat on the book could have been his twin. The cat with the moustache smiled and said, "Wow, thanks. I really appreciate that. I've only got 3 pages left of this book, and then I would have been done. I've read all the books I brought. And I would have had another week with absolutely nothing to read. So this is perfect timing. Thank you. My name's Charles. What's your name?" Vaya thought, well, I just told him my name, but maybe he wasn't paying attention. So Vaya said, "Oh, yes, I said, it's Vaya." Oh, said Charles, the cat with the moustache. Sorry about that. So, have you read this book? Is it good?" Charles was putting one of his paws on the book that Vaya had put on the table, implying that that's the book that he was talking about. Vaya nodded very gracefully and batted her eyelashes a little bit and said, Yes, it's a very good book." "Wonderful," said Charles. "Would you like to read one of my books?" Vaya said, Oh, yes, I suppose I would." Charles passed Vaya one of the books that he had next to him on the table. The book was called How to Fall in Love Forever. Vaya blushed. "Oh," she said. Is it a good book?" "Oh, yes," said Charles. "It's an excellent read, and I learnt so much." "Oh," said Vaya. "Well, I'll be on my way then. Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you, Charles." Yes, you too," he said, standing up from his chair, just being respectful as Vaya walked away. That night, Vaya went back to her room, did what she always did, put on her pajamas, brushed her teeth, and got into bed, and decided to give Charles's book a try. The first chapter said, "You will know a princess when you see her." "Oh," said Vaya. "I wonder if you recognize that I am, or should be, or could very well easily be a princess." Vaya was intrigued. She stayed up that night and read nearly all of the book, and then the next morning, over breakfast, she finished it. It was a very good book. And like Charles said, Vaya also learned a lot about how to love forever. The next evening on the ship, there was a dance. Vaya had on a black, shimmery, sequined dress, and when she walked, it dragged behind her, like she was getting married or something. It was so glamorous and sophisticated looking. She felt very, very ready for love. In the ballroom where the dance was, she spotted Charles across the room because of his very distinct moustache. Then he waved a paw at her, and then he walked over and asked Vaya if she wanted to dance. "Oh, yes, that would be nice," she said, very casually. Charles danced her and span her all over the dance floor. And then they had another dance, and another dance, and then they danced again. They danced all night together, and every dance Vaya felt or knew that they were falling more and more in love with each other. The next morning when she woke up, Cherry said,
OMG, Vaya, you look so tired. Are you alright?
Vaya said,
I had the most wonderful dream. And I was dreaming about dancing with a cat with a moustache called Charles all night long.
Cherry said,
Yeah, you can tell. You look absolutely cream crackered. If I were you, I'd make sure you have a nap today.
The end.